Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into something really fascinating. At least to me, it's called nominal reincarnation, and it's practiced in some African cultures.
Yeah, it's a fascinating way to understand how these cultures think about life, death, and family, all connected through, believe it or not, the power of a name.
Seriously. Okay, so the research we have here says that in these cultures, a name isn't just a name. It's more like a torch being passed down.
That's a great way to put it. The research, it really emphasizes how these cultures see life and death as cyclical. So picture this, a child being named after their grandparent who just passed away.
Okay.
It's like that ancestor's life force is being reborn, recycled into this new little member of the family.
Right. So it's not reincarnation like we often think of it with someone living another life.
Right.
It's more like their essence is flowing through the family.
Exactly. And it's not just about having the same name either. The belief is that the child can actually inherit things from that person, personality traits, skills, even their little quirks.
Wow. Okay, now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So like what kind of things are we talking about? How does it actually play out in their lives?
Well, let's say a family believes their grandfather was, oh, I don't know, known for his generosity. And then their grandchild, who has his name, starts showing signs of being generous.
Right.
It's not just a personality trait, you see. It's like their grandfather's spirit living on through them.
Oh, wow. So every act of kindness is like carrying on a legacy. That's really something.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And this whole idea of life and death being so connected, of the importance of family continuing on, it helps explain some of the cultural practices that people from other places might find strange.
You're talking about things like polygamy, right?
Yeah.
Or widow inheritance. Those are some pretty heavy practices.
I mean, they've definitely been criticized, yeah, but they're deeply rooted in these cultures' beliefs. The research actually says that the biggest pressure in many of these cultures isn't even to just get married.
It's to have kids.
Especially sons, yeah, because they carry on the family name. They ensure that the family line continues.
So it's not about like suppressing women or anything like that. It's about making sure life continues, that every family has a future.
And that their ancestors are honored through future generations. Yeah. And there's this really interesting example in the research. When they surveyed Kenyan women, a lot of them, believe it or not, they said they'd rather be a junior wife in a polygamous marriage
Really?
than not be married at all.
Wow, that's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it from that perspective. So it's not just about being married, it's about being part of this much bigger picture, this lineage. And that's what brings fulfillment.
Yeah, it really shows how important these beliefs are to them. And it actually connects to something else we found in the research, this idea that a person's spirit isn't just, reflected in how their namesake acts, but even in how they look.
Oh, okay, hold on. Are we talking about like actual physical resemblance because of this spiritual connection?
Yeah, exactly. Imagine a child who looks a lot like their grandmother, right, who they're named after.
Yeah.
It's not just a family resemblance to them. It's like proof, evidence of that ancestor living on through the child.
Oh, wow. So every time someone's like, oh, you look just like your grandfather, it kind of reinforces this whole belief system.
It makes you wonder if we see what we're looking for sometimes. But it's not always just about how we interpret things. Sometimes, at least according to this research, these beliefs, they show up in some pretty unexpected ways.
Okay, like this is where those stories come in, right? Didn't the research mention something about a child who wouldn't stop crying?
Yes. This story, it really shows how deeply rooted this belief in nominal reincarnation is. So this child is named after their grandmother on their mother's side, which is, pretty common. But the child just wouldn't stop crying. They wouldn't nurse or anything. The family was really worried.
Oh, man. Poor kid, poor family. What do they do?
Medically, everything was fine. They couldn't find anything wrong. So someone suggested, maybe it's not the right spirit. Like, in their way of thinking, the child might be expressing the spirit of a different ancestor, one they hadn't considered yet.
So they thought the baby was actually, like, crying out for a different name, for a different ancestor. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it really shows how differently they see the world, Life and death are just so intertwined in their beliefs. So anyway, they called in the clan elders, and they did some kind of rituals to try and, I don't know, figure out which ancestor was trying to make themselves known.
Wow. And did it work? Like, did they just start calling out names till something happened?
Well, that's the thing. As crazy as it sounds, that's kind of what happened. They went through a few names, and then when they said the name of the child's grandfather, the father's side this time, the baby just stopped crying. Like that.
Whoa. I mean, that gives me chills. It makes you wonder, Even if, we don't necessarily believe the same thing. Maybe it wasn't even really about the name itself, but about the child feeling like they belonged.
Yeah.
Like they were connected to something bigger.
It's definitely something to think about. Whatever the reason, the story shows you how powerful belief can be. For these cultures, this nominal reincarnation thing, it's not just an idea, it's like woven into everything. It shapes how they see family, who they are, even what their purpose is.
It really makes you think about names differently, doesn't it? It's not just what your parents picked out. It's like this whole vessel carrying the hopes and dreams of everyone who came before you.
It's a powerful thing, and it makes people want to live up to that, you know? Knowing that your name, like your essence, could be passed down, it creates a sense of responsibility. You want to make your ancestors proud.
So it's not just about the past, it's about the future too, right? This whole idea of nominal reincarnation. It's about life, death, and how we're living right now.
Exactly. It really makes us examine our own beliefs,
Hmm.
about life, death, what we leave behind. It's like, even when we're gone, a part of us can live on through the stories we tell, the things we believe in, how we treat other people.
Wow. That's a lot to process. This has
Yeah.
been a really incredible deep dive. It's amazing how exploring something like nominal reincarnation can make us think about our own lives, our own legacies, in a whole new way. Thanks for joining me on this journey.
It was my pleasure.
And to all of you listening, we want to hear from you. How do you view legacy? What stories and values do you carry with you? Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.